I'm back.
Nice, nice. So you mentioned the Iboga and the Bwiti, and even the fact that, most people, when they hear about Ibogaine for the first time, they hear about it, like myself, as being this active ingredient in Iboga, which is amazing for, heroin addicts and alcohol recovery, and I had the opportunity to do my own Googles and meet with gangers that are part of tradition to find out, well, that's not how and what it is used for, gifted to the, to the people themselves. So maybe you could share some insight into your understandings of the workings of Iboga and how it's used traditionally and in your life.
For me, Iboga was like the older cousin of the mushroom because it came to me in a moment where I really needed help. Like I I had gotten rid of all the things in my life that I saw as like poisonous or toxic, you know, and I had smoking left. So the reason Iboga came to me is because I was highly addicted to tobacco, even though I still worked with it in a sacred way. So it helped me to renegotiate my addiction in a way that wasn't harming me, you know, with my ancestors. It showed me that a lot of my ancestors were tabaqueros. So, you know, it's like 14 generations of memory, you know, and 5 of those 14 generations, there was somebody in my lineage who smoked. You know, it's going to land on me too. You know, my grandpa smoked, you know, my great greats smoked. And Iboka, you know, it's like put you around a campfire with your BCE elders, and it's like, you know, you start to see your signature, like, wow, like that's where I come from. But for me, it was microdosing without any real guidance, you know. I just started one day and I didn't really stop for months. And nobody really told me what would happen if I did that. You know, and I was okay with that because I feel like, you know, I can sovereignly negotiate with the spirit. The spirit doesn't want to harm me. So I did like a 90-day Iboga fast. And I just started cutting out all the sugars. And, you know, I'd still be working with tobacco from time to time, off and on. But by the end of it, I was at a pretty high dose of Iboga because I've been microdosing about a gram every other week. So by the end of my fast, I think that I made it probably, you know, close to what would be considered a ceremony dose. I integrated it into my reality in a way that I was constantly in contact with my ancestors and with Iboga itself. So the way that Iboga helped me was to stop creating things in my life that I didn't need anymore. So it showed me kind of how I had a labyrinthian mind. You know, I give an analogy. It's like a grandpa, you know, kicking your fishing hook and your fishing pole, you know, into the water and telling you you don't need it anymore. You don't even know how to fish, and telling you to get into the water and that you are the water and that you are the fish, you know, and to stop, you know, fishing for something in life that is already right there for you if you ask for it properly, you know. Um, so yeah, you know, Iboga for me, its spirit is like a great grandfather. Um, it can clothe itself, but it's like you're the medicine. It uses your observer, your inner wisdom to really speak, and it puts like a loudspeaker on that part of you. You know, if you're gonna start a fight or something, there's always that one part of you that's like, hold on, this could be addressed better and more wisely. You don't have to start, you know, something bad. That's the voice that Iboga makes so profound. You know, it makes it as if you're your own big brother. Does that make sense?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, so with that said, sis, correct me if I'm wrong. As I said, you work with other plant medicines, and you're a practitioner. I definitely know that for sure. But your journey, I want to go into just a bit about your personal journey before we just talk about the medicine, as far as the healing qualities that you found in yourself. If I'm correct, I've heard you on a previous interview talk about fibroid. I'm not sure if that's for yourself or somebody else, or how this medicine can help with physical healing as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So about that, You know, I thought I was gonna
Sorry,
die.
before you start, sis, the mic, you're on over the mic.
Can you hear me now?
Much better, yeah.
Okay, so I thought I was gonna die actually this year. You know, I spent my whole childhood thinking I was gonna die at 26, because I had a tumor that was in a really embarrassing part of my body that kept growing twice in size, like since I was a kid, you know? And nobody had any solutions, not even the mushroom. The mushroom was just like, eat healthier, you know, don't ride your bike, don't sit down for too long. I'm like, that's not an acceptable solution, you know? So Kambo for me is a medicine that I practice. That's the only medicine I really feel comfortable facilitating and working with people for, because I've gone through hundreds and hundreds of ceremonies with myself, you know, and until I've reached like my 300th, you know, ceremony with a medicine, I don't really feel like maybe I'm completely prepared for what it takes, you know, to really help somebody, you know, walk with them down that path. So for me, it was, you know, at the same time I met Iboga, I met Kambo. And Kambo is a purgative, but also, you know, the guy who, you know, won the Nobel Prize for discovering serotonin, Vittorio Ersblimmer, he was interested in Peter Gorman's work, you know, in 1980s. And so I already knew something was really interesting about Kambo. You know, that's what actually ended up curing me of my cancer, my fibroid tumors. And ultimately, it does so much more for me than that, you know, because it really helped me to understand my whole family lineage's poor relationship with gluten and yeast and candida, and why my mom, you know, has celiac disease. None of us are Irish, you know, but she has celiac disease. And it's basically like a form of AIDS where your stomach, you know, starts attacking its own cells, you know, in response to gluten. So for me, you know, being related to my mom, I really appreciated Kambo because Kambo helped me to understand what spiritual dark energy means to indigenous people. You know, even things like candida yeast, you know, something that's in your eyeballs, in your brain, in your tongue, you know, they see that as a malevolent force, you know, and Kambo helps to remove the root cause of the sugar cravings for me, a lot of the cravings for glutinous breads, etc. But even more so, it forced my body into a more natural state, a more alkaline state. I believe that it made my blood toxic to the Kambo that was in my, not to the Kambo, to the infection, to the tumor that was in my system. And, you know, the tumor eventually swelled up, it came to a head and drained itself. And the doctor said, you know, they could cut it out and it might come back. Well, the Kambo was extremely efficient as a surgeon internally. And, you know, I believe that plant medicines like the mushroom can be used as a tool of diagnosis, like to look into someone's body and see, you know, where there's a problem. So I take Kambo, then I take Iboga, and then I take mushrooms, you know, all in the same 2 months per se. And from the first start, I'd be like, Kambo, okay, where's my rap sheet? You know, once it enters my body, it felt like it was scanning my body for illness and disease. Then, you know, I would give my body enough Kambo medicine for it to purge, you know, so I'd vomit out the illness or the disease. Then I'd take Iboga, and the Iboga would help me to better understand what I had actually done or what was connected to me, what behavior seeded that illness or disease coming into my body. And then I'd take the mushroom to go and spiritually sort myself out. So, you know, it was like a, you know, a threefold punch for me. And, you know, I do Kambo and DMT. I do Kambo and mushrooms. Ultimately, I didn't really do a lot of Kambo and Iboga, because when you do Kambo and Iboga directly together, it's extremely intense, to the point of maybe like a toad ceremony, very intense. You know, it made me sweat a lot. I let go of a lot of emotional grief and toxins. But when I did Kambo and Iboga together, it seemed like the Iboga was helping my ancestors or my lineage to purge through my physical body. So I stopped doing that very much because it got pretty intense. And I used the mushroom to help work on ancestral healing instead.